Hey everyone, long-time reader, first-time poster. Recently, during this whole situation, I've been playing a lot of D&D. Online, of course, which has led me to think a lot about my past with D&D. I have been DMing since I was 16, and I've actually only been a player in 2 campaigns that went more than 2 sessions. The first was an amazing campaign done by a friend of mine who had made basically a whole new world with literally thousands of years of written lore. He pretty much wrote a novel about the world we were in, and it was awesome. The second, however, was one of the worst experiences of my D&D life, and it all started on Reddit. So about a year ago, I had been looking for some new online friends to play D&D with. None of my friends liked DMing, and I was getting burnt out on it myself and wanted to be a player for once. So I went onto Reddit and managed to find a group to join. On the surface, it was a bit odd as I had to apply, but I was quickly informed that it was just to weed out people who were barely literate, since this was all going to be over text, as well as making sure people were tolerant of others, since that caused problems in our previous group. I understood and agreed, passing the first test easily, as it was just a yes or no test about not being a jerk. The second test was a bit odder, as my interviewer wanted me to roleplay a slice of life session with her to make sure I was a good enough writer. I guess. I agreed, still not seeing the red flags that were pretty clearly there, and did it. It was weird but fairly normal, minus 1 or 2 times where she tried to make it somewhat inappropriate, which I shut down as I really wasn't interested. Regardless, I was told I passed and I was let into the group. I was pretty excited to get in and to get to playing, so I rolled my character, a human cleric, that day, even though the first session was a week away. As I waited, I also got to know the group. There was the person who interviewed me, who we'll call Sam, the DM, Sam's friend, who we'll call Kate, and Sam's boyfriend, Dave. They were all pretty cool, but also all a bit off. Dave was super nerdy and awkward, but was an alright guy. Kate was very anime, and would occasionally send yans with messages. And the DM was super chill, but he just always seemed to be a bit off. But Dave, Kate, and the DM were all normal when compared to Sam. During the first session, she DMs me and starts flirting with me, and not too subtly. Now keep in mind, we really haven't spoke much, and all she knows about me is that I like D&D and that I'm a guy. I didn't even tell her my real name. I brush it off and just keep playing, ignoring her DMs and hoping that she will just move on. Things get worse though when she, during the course of the campaign, makes a point to belittle and attack Dave while praising me. For example, during an encounter, Dave rolled a nat 1 and failed to kill an enemy that was at low health and was focusing on Sam. Since I moved next, I attacked and killed it, which led to Sam chastising Dave for not protecting her and calling me her white knight. I kinda just brushed it off because it didn't seem to really bother Dave, Kate, or the DM who actually knew Sam, so I figured it was maybe just how they joked around. The rest of the session goes pretty normally, with Sam repeatedly DMing me flirtatious messages about the campaign, which I ignore. When the session ends, we all thank the DM and break to meet up again next week. Only Sam keeps messaging me. Eventually, I decide it would be best to nip this in the bud and just tell her I'm not interested. I tell her that I'm already in a relationship and I'm not really comfortable with the flirting, but that I would love to be friends with her. She takes it pretty well and agrees that it was inappropriate, but also asks me to not tell Dave. I reluctantly agree on the condition that she tells him herself. The next couple sessions are pretty normal, and although the flirting stops, Sam keeps chastising Dave's character and flirting with mine. Although Dave and Kate seem to be good sports about it, with the two even joking about having their characters set ours up, so I mostly just ignore it. Besides, my character is basically a celibate monk, so I consider it could just be ribbing about that. Then one session, it gets particularly bad. Dave's character is a stereotypical edgy knight. We had just taken down a camp of cultists, and Kate suggested we interrogate them, but Dave, acting fully in character, says that he wants to torture them to get information, to which my lawful good monk disagrees with him. Sam, despite being evil, decides to side with me, and proceeds to unleash a torrent of insults against Dave and Dave's character. The kind of stuff that would make a nun blush. After she's done, Dave says that he's done for the day, and we all agree to break for now. I DM Dave about an hour later and ask him if he's okay, and I also DM Kate and the DM and ask them if this is a usual thing and what they think we should do about it. All of them tell me the same thing. It's okay, don't worry, and don't get involved. I reluctantly let it go. The next day, however, I wake up to a series of messages from Sam. The first couple telling me that she loves me and that she wants to be with me. Then she sent a 9 to 10 paragraph long, one-sided, very inappropriate roleplay between our characters. And then she sent me a series of unarmored pictures of someone who she claimed to be was her, which I frankly still don't really believe, and I tell her that I'm seriously not comfortable with any of this and to stop messaging me privately. At this point, I'm also considering leaving the group, but then she apologizes and tells me that she was off her meds. I tell her I'm still not comfortable with us DMing, and she says she'll stop. About an hour later, I get another DM from her, this time telling me that she told Dave about us, and now he's threatening to harm her and that she has nowhere else to run. I tell her I'll talk to Dave and that he seems to be like a reasonable guy, but if she is scared, then she should call the police or tell someone who can help, given that I wasn't even in the same country as her. I DM Dave and ask him what's going on, and he says he doesn't know what I'm talking about. So I explain, and he doesn't respond for a while. Then, about an hour later, he tells me that he just broke up with Sam, and that this was the first he had heard about any of this. Meanwhile, Sam starts messaging me talking about, now that Dave's out of the way, we can be together, and that I'm a true alpha. This is the opposite of true. I tell her I'm not interested, but she still thinks it's part of some act, and tells me that she was only dating Dave to make fun of him and to use him for money. As this is going on, Kate starts messaging me, calling me a homewrecker, and Dave sends me an extremely long message that I could only classify as an incel manifesto. Finally, I decide to block all three of them and message the DM and tell him I'm out. Interestingly enough, when I tell him this, he says, actually, I don't know any of these people really. Sam was just secretly paying me to DM. I think that they're all pretty weird too, but the money's good, and they mostly leave me alone. Anyway, that's my nightmare D&D story. Sounds like a complete mess. I like the premise of this story being a random person walking into the middle of some awkward group of people that slowly goes from weird to just crazy chaos. Frankly, I don't think they could pay me enough to be part of all of that. At least, it looks like OP was able to get out of it unscathed. It certainly helps when you're not in the same country. What do you all think about this situation?